Why does getting to the airport have to be such a dilemma? The driving, parking, finagling a ride. Well, if you take Uber, it doesn't. It's easy. Just install the Uber app. Enter your destination, confirm your location, and within minutes, a car will pick you up. Whether you're catching the red eye or taking off at the crack of dawn, you can request a ride 24/7. So avoid the hassle. Install the Uber app now and take your first ride today. Uber, the better way to get there.
You're tuning in to the Goldilocks presentation of the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show with Anthony Rodriguez. Anthony Rodriguez, aka Walking Crow, found transformational energy healing through a personal search into healing and was transformed by this experience. He made the decision to pursue training and has since become a certified energy healing practitioner with an emphasis on working with clients in recovery from addiction. His willingness to be open and listen has allowed him to be of service to many who seek a peaceful, serene, and healthier body, mind, and spirit. Call in now if you would like to speak with Anthony. The call-in number is 713-955-0332. Enjoy this transformational and healing show.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome back, and welcome to 2017. Happy New Year, everybody. My name is Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow, and this is the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show on Goldilocks Productions. I would like to also wish my producer, Tiffany White, a Happy New Year, and thank her again for the opportunity that she gives all of us healers and all of us with our particular gifts an opportunity and a format to do what it is we do. So thank you very much, Tiffany. And today's show, letting go of those things and people that don't support your goals, our goals, moving forward from the frying pan to the fire, and healing your life. And what is it in your life that you want to heal? And how is it that you want to heal it? You can call in today's show at 713-955-0332. You can call in live. You can push 1 to get out of listen mode. We'd like to hear, or I'd like to hear what questions you want to ask or how it is you want to move into the new year. I cannot wait to hear who's out there and who's waiting to call. We weren't on air last week because of the Christmas holiday. Our producer and her family deserves to have a vacation just like everybody else. She worked hard with her shows and producing everybody else's show. And, so we took a week off, and I hope everybody was safe and in good health and is coming through the new year, unscathed, whatever that means. So welcome to the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. My name's Anthony Rodriguez, Walking Crow. So letting go of the people that don't support you or the things that won't support your life in the direction that you're moving. And what is the direction that you're going to be moving into? What has been going on in your life, and what have you been allowing to happen in your life that will manifest into things that you want to do, in the way that you want to be, in a way of letting go of the things that you've been carrying around for a lifetime, or whether it was seconds, minutes, weeks, days, months, years, lifetimes. What are the things you needed to let go of, or you need to let go of, to move forward, to bring you some self-satisfaction, some self-joy, some self-care, some self-nurturance? I'm going to ask first and foremost to give me a second and say this: palabra, word. I missed that point again today. Palabra, word. And I say palabra, word. Palabra is a Spanish word for word. And my point in saying that is, what comes out of my mouth and what I say to you is my truth. It may not be your truth. It may not be something you believe, or it may be something that you haven't heard yet, but it is my truth, and how it falls on you is how it falls on you. and because it may be something different for me. So what I have to say is my truth, whether you agree or disagree. And if you disagree, let's agree to disagree. We can do that here on this show. I'm not here to argue with anybody, and I'm here to help you transform, transmute, transition, and transcend a life that's no longer necessary for you into a life that you want, into a dream that you want, into a dream state, into the spirit world, into a new world for yourself. What is it that you want for yourself? And then but first, right after the palabra, we're going to ask you, and I'm going to ask you to, if you're standing or if you're sitting, I'm going to ask you to place your feet flat on the floor. And this is January 3rd. This is Tuesday, January 3rd. And I'm going to ask you to plant your feet. Allow your feet to sink into the floor. Sit up straight. Put your hands on your thighs or on your knees and take a deep breath. Exhale. Take another deep breath all the way to your feet, all the way past your third chakra, down past your second chakra, into your feet, into your root. Root yourself into 2017, into Tuesday, January 3rd, 2017, and be here now. Be rooted and fruited. Be the tree that will not be knocked down by 2016. Yes, I heard all the complaints. I read all the whining and the complaining on social media, and people and everywhere I went were complaining about how 2016 is having its way with us, and it's this and it's that, and take responsibility for the things that happen. I have to. So let's not point the finger at something that's not real. Sometimes people die. I know a lot of it has to do with people dying, people who are famous, but everybody dies. We're going to die. It's part of the life process, and I welcome you into a different way of thinking with regard to that. I miss those people too. Is it tragic? Maybe. But is it normal? Yes, it's normal. Is it normal that people die from drug overdoses? Doesn't have to be that way. Natural death, that's normal. Sometimes people fall ill. We do these things happen, but there's things that people die from that we can't help, and I think that our frustration of the people that we honor and the people that we see as great, we become disappointed and maybe frustrated in those things, in our beliefs. I don't know. Maybe right, maybe wrong. Who knows? Anyways, letting go of those things and people that don't support your goals. Moving forward from the frying pan to your fire. Heal your life. Taking the breath into the body. Beginning every day with taking the breath into your body. When you wake up in the morning, sit at the edge of your bed. Put your feet on the floor. Put your hands on your thighs. Sit up straight and be with your body. Introduce yourself to your body. Introduce yourself to what you're feeling. Introduce air, oxygen into the body. Oxygen is healing. Take it in. Take it in deep all the way to your feet and exhale from your feet. We ended last year with a call-in from a great friend of mine, called in from Maui, and how the effects of energy healing landed on her son, whether he believed in what I do or not. And what is it that you believe? Do you believe that you can be healed? Do you believe that your life can be changed with intention? Because whether that young man believed me or not, it was my intention to help him in any way I could. And that carries a lot of power. So what is your intention for yourself, for those around you, for the new year? Do you have an intention? Can you set an intention? Have you set one? I personally don't believe in resolutions because, I watch people make resolutions all day long. And by the first or second week of New Year's, it's out the window, But, I don't talk about the intentions that I have set for myself, or if there is a resolution, because I already said I don't make resolutions. I keep those things private because they're personal to me. The things that I want for my life have nothing to do with you, and at the same time have everything to do with you. I want my life to change. I want my life and the people around me to be able to move forward and to transmute, change, and to become, and to let go of the old ways, the old habits, the old thinking, the way that, the things that I learned from the way I was treated, by well-meaning people who said they loved me, and that stuff still happens today. There's well-meaning people who claim to love me and treat me poorly and shabbily. Does that happen in your life? And do you ask yourself, does that happen in your life? And if it does happen in your life, what do you do about it? What do you do about it? 713-955-0332. Call in, ask a question, receive a healing, receive a blessing, set an intention with me, allow me to set the intention with you, and allow me to support you and hold space right here, right now. Because once I'm off the air at 2 o'clock, out of luck, just kidding. You can reach me. You can reach me at my business email at Anthony@sacreddrummedicine.com, or you can reach out to my phone and my service at area code 818-442-1717. How is it you want to change? How is it you want to transform? How is it you want to transcend, transmute, transition? What are the things in your life that you're tired of carrying? Are you ready to drop the rock? And how big is that rock? Or are you carrying a million pebbles in your pockets, in your shoes, in your mouth, and you can't spit them out, and there are too many to carry, there are too many to count? What is it that you want to let go of? This is the opportunity to call in and get some guidance. Let me guide you. Let me help you. I reach out to people who guide me. I reach out to people who can help me. I don't just make stuff up as I go along. I have teachers. I have wise people in my life. I have elders. I have shamans in my life who have years beyond me, and they help me along my way. Sometimes it's as simple as having lunch with one of my teachers, and sitting across the table and looking at each other and speaking to each other, and hearing each other in a way that's good. Sometimes it's as simple as taking a walk, and getting some fresh air and teacher, this is what's going on with me today. I don't want to be this way, and they give me wisdom. They impart their words and their wisdom, and they share with me, and I have many teachers and many masters and many shamans, but I have one God, one creator, one great spirit, that I go to for everything. I look to for everything. Creator, great spirit, how fabulous that I get to look at that in that way and say those words, because great spirit is great, and spirit moves in my life, and spirit is always, So my healing started with regard to energy healing and being trained as an energy healer, and learning to ground and learning to move through my chakra system and understand where the emotions lie and fall in my body, because every chakra, every energy point is connected to an emotion or two or many, and I'm not just talking about the 7 main chakras that everybody talks about and everybody tries to teach you at one time. I'm talking about all the chakras, the ones in the joints, in your fingers, in the palms of your hands, in your elbows, in your shoulders. The chakras and energy points within the energy points, and there are many. There are many upon many upon many. And I had to learn about these things. And I learned how they were connected to my emotional state, to my spiritual state, to my psychological state. I learned that I spent a lot of time living in my head when I didn't even know how to live in my body. But that's why I lived in my head, and I lived in story, and I lived in blame, and I lived in shame, and I lived in hurt. I lived in hurt. There's something that I'm doing for this year. I am helping people to literally come out of their body, and while they're moving into their body, coming out of their head and moving into their body and coming out of their body. Because there's a lot of people who are either overweight or obese and don't know how to change their lives and don't know how to transition into a way of being that will be helpful to them because of shame, because of hurt, because of trauma, because of a lot of things. You know, what is yours and how does it affect you? And so I'm going to be helping people this year come into a different body, come into a different emotional state within their body, and understanding how the weight that you carry, the weight that you carry is attached to your emotional state, how we stuff when we're hurt, when we're angry, when we're lonely, when we're depressed. We stuff our feelings with food or alcohol or drugs or bad media, you know, whatever it is, but mostly food. And we grow and we start to morph and change. And like I did, I was 238 pounds at one point. And right now I'm 160 pounds. And my teacher, Master Seal, who supports everything I do, and I thank him for who he is. And, you know, he asked me at lunch, and he likes to go to these Chinese buffet places that I particularly don't care to eat at because of all the kinds of food that are there. But I go because I honor him. I want to honor where he wants to go. So I go and I enjoy what it is I'm doing with him. And when I'm not eating in that way, I go back to however it is that I eat. And one particular day, during the summer, as a matter of fact, he looked at me across the table and said, "How do you stay so trim and fit?" And I said, "Well, I don't know about fit, but I am trim." And I made a joke out of it. But I said to him, I stopped carrying the hurt, the shame, the wounds, and the trauma of the failures, of my failures to the spoken and unspoken expectation of others. And he said, "No, I asked you how you lost weight." I said, "I just finished telling you." And if you look at me and you go to my driver's license, and I'll be posting this on my Facebook page later on today, that picture of that driver's license. If you look at my driver's license, you can see that it's a whole other person. That person is not me today. It hasn't been me for 4 or 5 years because I've kept that weight off, not because I don't eat. I eat pretty good if you check in with the people around me that are with me and with Master Seal when we're in that particular all-you-can-eat place. I eat very well. But when I started to change my life as an energy healer, I started to release myself from the bondage of carrying those rocks, those big rocks in different parts of my body, those blocks, those wounds, the gray areas, the clouds in my body. I started to release those things. I started to talk about the emotion and the things the traumas and the hurts that happened in my life, and like they happened in your life that you don't talk about. I started to talk about those things. I started to use my fifth chakra, my voice, expression, vibration, voice. I started to use my voice to come out of my head. That's where the block was, and I started to speak. And as I started to speak, I started to come into my body, started to come into my heart, and started to come into self-love. Self-love of letting go of those hurts and those wounds. As I let go of those hurts and those wounds, I came into self-love, air, fourth chakra, air, lungs. I'm loved. I moved into my third chakra, into my fire, my fuego. And I came into that fire, and that fire, I would take deep breaths and exhale, and I would stoke that fire with my breath from my heart, air, lungs. And that fire would be stoked, and that fire would hit that second chakra, the water element of my second chakra, and it would create steam. Not just steam, but esteem. It created a steam from the fire of breathing in to the heart space and loving myself, of letting go of the bondages of self that were imposed by well-meaning people. I started to let go of those things and stoke that fire of self-esteem and come into my fire, my fuego. I can, I will, I do, esteem. And as that esteem grew in my third chakra and it heated that water of the second chakra, the element water, connection to others, healing, creativity, it created esteem, and that water poured and overflowed down into my first chakra, root. as I came into my connection to others, it watered my roots. And my roots started to grow, and my branches started to grow, and my canopy started to get full of leaves, and birds would nest in my branches, and fruit would grow from my branches because of that watering of that root from my connection to others. Aho mitakiase. Aho. It sounds pretty simple, but it wasn't. It took a lot of work. And in the process of letting go of those things, I started to shed weight, shed shame, shed hurt, shed the things that no longer served me. I started to eat in a different way. It wasn't about the aesthetic of the outside, of how I look to others, because that is not important to me, how I look to others. If it was, I would probably be a whole other different person. I wouldn't be talking to you right now. It was about healing my insides, healing the hurts and the wounds inside so I could be whole, so I could be pure, so I could be clean in and of myself for me, not for you, not for those people that I found myself a failure to their unspoken and spoken expectations. The heck with that. So I changed my life. And as I changed my life, my physical started to change because we manifest in our physical bodies as when we leave and escape into our heads, we come out of our bodies, we start to manifest disease, illness, smoking, drinking. We start to manifest a whole lot of things that aren't helpful. But when we come out of our head and into our bodies, we start to manifest different things. We start to manifest letting go. We start to molt. We start to lose our fur in the fall. Moving into winter, we start to shed our snake skins. We start to lose our feathers. As I got to experience, a friend of mine up here in Altadena, she has peacocks that live in her yard. And I was watching the main male peacock shed his feathers, pull his own feathers off, because it was that time. So we all go through a change and a metamorphosis. We all want to go through a change, but you have to be willing to go through the change. It isn't going to be easy. It's not supposed to be easy. But if you become willing, it becomes easier if you're a willing participant in your own life. If you're not a willing participant in the change of your life, it's going to be hard because you're going to be dog paddling through your own wounds, and you don't need to be doing that. We don't need to be doing that. I didn't need to be doing it, that's for sure. So, Master Seal got an answer to his question that wasn't what he expected. It wasn't what he expected. Really quick, 713-955-0332. Call in. And if you have questions, if you want a healing, if you want to share a story of how you're changing your life and how you are in the beginnings of doing that, or how far down the road you are in doing that and making changes in your life. Remember, it's not the destination. We're never going to, there is no destination, but there is the path. There is the road. There is the path and the road of what it is that you want to do, and the teachers that appear to you as you do it, and the lessons that appear to you and that you walk through as you do it. And the lessons and the teachers aren't always easy. They can be very harsh and very hard. And it's afterwards, after you walk through that fire, where you turn around and say, boy, that was something else. But look at where I am now. Wow. Boy, that took a little doing, but here I am now. What is it that you want to change? How is it that you want to transmute? Do you really? I ask that question because, I ask, do you really? And I put a really on there because sometimes people, we all mean well and we all want to give ourselves something, but when will we do it? I'm going to start my diet next week. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do this in the month of February. Oh, next year, next time, you're going to next time yourself to death, some of you. I know a lot of people. My specialty with regard to energy healing, I work with people who are in recovery. And in recovery, there's two things that I hear constantly, which are excuses, and one is an excuse and one is a doorway to potential death, early death. early termination. And one is, yeah, but, yeah, but is just a reach for an excuse, to create an excuse for yourself. I am done making excuses for myself and for others. I don't make excuses for myself or for others anymore. And the other one is this time. I would talk to people in recovery who just don't seem to stay recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And they say, well, this time when they come back, day 1 or day 2 or in their 31st 30 days or whatever it is, they say this time. And I will ask them, do you hear yourself? You're going to this time yourself to death. Because all it takes is the wrong one more of the wrong thing. And what is it? And when is it that you're going to let go of that this time? I didn't have any more this time. I got sober in my early 30s, and I'm 55 now. In fact, I'm coming up on 25 years of sobriety on the 26th of January, and that's a big deal. It is. If you're somebody who can't stay sober, that's a big deal. And I know guys with the same amount of time or more who spent a lifetime not being able to stay sober. I have a new sponsor. His name is Doug, and he still tells stories to this day that he would go to a meeting, and then he'd go to the liquor store and buy a bottle of Bushmills. And I don't understand that kind of thinking and behavior, but that wasn't my experience. That was his experience. And I thank him for sharing that experience and having that experience, because this time was the last time. He had a last time. He didn't kid himself. He finally said, I can't do this anymore. And, I think he's been sober 27 years, and I'm coming up on 25. So it's a blessing to have him in my life. But he was willing to make a change in his life. Are you willing to make the change? When are you going to be willing to do something for yourself that makes a difference, not just in your life, but in the life of your spouse, in the life of your kids who watch you come in the house and kick the dog, who go running for shelter in their video games and in their rooms when you come in the house, and because they don't want to be around that energy. That angry, violent energy. I know that angry energy. I carry that angry energy sometimes. Hi, human. My sponsor of 24 years, his name is David. When I was early in my sobriety, he would look at me when I was complaining, and he would say, hi, human, and I would just look at him and, F you, David. And then I had to laugh at myself because he was right. What makes me above and beyond anything, of not having to have feelings or deal with whatever it is that I should deal with. The time comes, and what are you going to do when that time comes? Are you going to open the door when time knocks for you? When your time knocks for you, are you going to open that door? Are you going to be willing to say hello? Are you going to make the change for yourself? In recovery. People in recovery say, I was tired of being sick and tired. And I have a friend named Corey, who is my dear friend down in Carlsbad. We've known each other all of sobriety. We've been friends since almost day one. And she would say that. She became sick and tired of being sick and tired. I just happened to say yes to day 27. And what that means is I was sent to Alcoholics Anonymous on a court card for 26 meetings because I was arrested one day, one more time drinking and driving, which is, I don't promote that sort of thing. And please, I'm talking about it because it's my story. So, don't think that that's okay. And I no longer, by the way, have to look in my rearview mirror for those Christmas lights to go on. I got pulled over one day and I went before the judge, and part of my sentence was to go to 26 meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so I did that. And I always say that my best day ever in Alcoholics Anonymous was day 27, because it was my conscious decision to be there, to show up. It was my intention to stay sober one more day into 28, 29, 30, 31, and so on. So I set my intention, and I learned to set my intention early, way before I became a healer. And I say that, but I really believe that I was a healer in those early years of sobriety too, because I was helping a lot of people. I was going out and talking about what it is that I was doing to help myself, and part of helping myself was helping others to stay sober from drugs and alcohol. And my friend Corey from Carlsbad was, I'm going to call her Cece, was part of that. So, you know, I was willing, and are you willing? And hey, I have a caller from the 66, Audrey, and I have a funny feeling this is Audrey from Insights with Audrey, my dear friend and medium, who's incredible, who's an incredibly talented woman. Audrey, how are you? Happy New Year. Are you there?
Hi. Yeah. Hi. I didn't know I had pressed 1. Hi. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about yourself? You know, how you feeling? I know you were feeling under the weather.
Oh, I'm feeling a lot better. My kids are still sick. I have one of them here that just won't give up on me. Won't go take her nap. So I was listening, and just as you said my name, she started screaming. So, you know, that's parenthood.
That's very, by the way, my producer said Spirit pressed 1.
Yeah, must have. Well, hearing what you were saying and about recovery, you know, I mean, hearing your side of the story, so, you know, is good. Do you have any tips on how people around the recovery person, you know, how they deal with it, how to deal with a recovering person?
The best medicine, I think, is Al-Anon. You know, get some Al-Anon meetings under their belt. Find, you know, they can call Alcoholics Anonymous, and Alcoholics Anonymous will send them or give them a direction with regards to Al-Anon and where meetings might be in their neighborhood or in their area. And you know, I've probably in my recovery have only been to 1 or 2 Al-Anon meetings because I was so adamant about my recovery that I needed to do, you know, I had to do things about my behavior, because my behavior, people, even when you stop drinking and you take away the medicine, the child starts to scream. And that was me, you know, and I had to learn how to act in a different way. And so Al-Anon is the best route. And in fact, I'm going to tell you a little Al-Anon joke. And this is for everybody who's listening. What's the difference between a dog and the alcoholic?
A dog and alcoholic. I have no clue.
The dog stops whining when you let him in the house. The dog stops whining when you let him in the house. Anyway, that was a joke that was told me by my sponsor early on, and I always remember that. And, you know, it's my favorite and only Al-Anon joke, you know, because being an Al-Anon and being somebody who's a caretaker of somebody who's an alcoholic is not an easy job. You know, it's like anything else. It's caring for somebody who's sick, who doesn't know they're sick. You know, unless they figure it out and they say they get tired of being sick and tired, and they start going to AA meetings, and they stop drinking and actually start doing something about their life. You know, but for the Al-Anon, I would say the person who's having to be around the practicing alcoholic or the in recovery, I would say Al-Anon all the time, because they are a great group, and you know, they've been doing this for 70 years. In fact, it was started by Bill Wilson, one of the co-founders of Alcoholics Anonymous. His wife started Al-Anon. So it's great to know that she had direct experience after years of her husband's, you know. So yeah, Al-Anon would be it. And you know, and seeking out like people, because people who are going through the same thing have a lot to offer us, even though they don't know that. When we start to share stories with somebody, let's say let's say, I know in your case, that's not the case in your house. Let's say you had an alcoholic in your house, and your next door neighbor her husband was an alcoholic, and you two started sitting on the sharing stories. And what would start to happen in the sharing of the stories, the like stories, that's where the recovery comes in the sharing, because then you have somebody who says, "Oh, me too. Oh, I experienced that too," and you're no longer alone in that experience. And sometimes it can be pretty scary, because we all know that there's alcoholics who get violent, alcoholics who get silent, alcoholics who get funny. There's all kinds of different alcoholics, and they have different types of behaviors. But if you're in a situation that's scary, where it's potentially violent, you want to be able to relate with somebody on what that is and what you can do about it, because one of you might get help that's able to help the other person as well.
Okay. And when you start seeing someone that's been in recovery, and you start seeing them slip back, what would be the best approach to let them know that that they're slipping and that you're there to help them? Because in my experience, we jump in a sense of, let me show you where you're going wrong. Yeah. And that usually backfires, because then anger comes out. Yep. And the defense comes out. And you're like, hold up. I'm just seeing, that I'm seeing you change. And I just want to remind you where you were, 2 years ago from where you are now. Yeah. And how do you have any advice on approaching that?
Well, sometimes it's best to mind your own business. I'm not trying to be facetious or funny, but I really feel that way. Let them figure it out. And I say, when it backfires and they start to get angry, I'll say, hey, you know what? I'll invite them to go to the store or the bar, and I'll buy them their first drink. And then they really get, whoa, you need to call your sponsor. I always call them on their stuff. You're calling your sponsor, you're reading the book, you're going to meetings. What is it are you doing or you're not doing? And if they say, it's none of your business. Well, you're probably right. Go drink yourself to death. What do I care? Sometimes a tough love is a strong tool. Sometimes that's all some people understand. When they've been have a lifetime of complaining about no one loves me, no one cares about me. I'm the first one to say, shut up. If nobody loves you, shut up. Go drink. I'm the first one to say, go drink. I'll buy you your first drink. I'll buy you a 6-pack if that'll do it, And I'm not trying to be mean. I don't want them to start drinking again. But, if they don't want my help, in the Bible, Apostle Paul says, if you come into a town and they don't want to hear what you have to say, clean the dust of that town off of you and move on to the next. There's people that do want help. There's people that will say, I understand that you love them, care for them, and want the best for them. And for those that don't, see you later. See you in the afterlife. Or they suffer in this lifetime to a degree that they never imagined. Because nobody loves me, nobody cares. We tried, and you can only do so much. You can only do so much. I was like that with my dad. I wasn't sober when my dad was alive, but I hated his drinking because I lived through it for a lifetime, and I didn't know anything about Al-Anon at the time. So I tried to plead with him and talk to him and get him to hear me, but it didn't work because I was an addict and I was an alcoholic, and I had no business. I was preaching to the choir. They don't want to hear that. Yeah. So yeah. So yeah, it's it's not an easy road being a partner or somebody who's watching somebody go that route. But sometimes we just have to back away and step outside of the fishbowl and let them figure it out themselves. And,
yeah, I had a lot of calls this holiday season on
Uh-huh.
that. On they wanted a lot of card readings on how to, what was Spirit saying, how to handle that.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hurt, and they're not just wives and mothers, they're sisters and friends. And a lot of these cases have children.
Yeah.
And, and it's like, well, I would turn away, like you said, tough love, but they have a child. So I can't leave that child. And it's like, well, yeah, but that's not your child. Kind of mind your own business. And it's very hard. And I would do the reading, and I gave them what Spirit said, but they just seemed that, they wanted more. That, it's like that it was going to be okay. And it's like, well, Spirit says it's going to be okay, but mind your own business. Or, it's going to be okay, but you have to do X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And they would be like, well, that's too hard.
Yeah, right. Like, it's like, well, they want the easy answer, but there is no easy answer. There's an answer, and the answer is go get help. Go do something for yourself. Pardon my French, save your ass.
Mm-hmm.
The example is of being on the earth, and I say this probably every show that I do. The example of when they tell you, the flight attendants tell you before a plane takes off, when the pressure, if the pressure drops in the cabin and the masks fall, put it on yourself first. You can't give away what you haven't got. And, in fact, Alcoholics Anonymous teaches that. You can't give away what you haven't got. There are people trying to get people sober who can't stay sober. Shut up. But when they call in, they want an answer. You're giving them an answer. You're giving them a direction. But what they want you to show up and fix them. No, you can't. We can't fix them. They're going to have to, in and of themselves, do something for themselves, for that child. If they really care about that child, what is it you're willing to do? Because there's a fire to walk through. Because of the burning house you're living in is going to fall on top of you unless you make a mad dash through the flames and the smoke for the exit. What is it that you want for your child? So, there are no easy answers, and there are no easy solutions. There's just answers and solutions, but they want an easy answer. They want you to fix them. And you and I do this all day long. It's not our job to fix people. It's our job is to help and to guide, and that's it. Because we're being guided. Spirit never tells me, well, here's $1 million, Anthony. Here's a brand new car. Here's dinner's made.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. Oh, by the way, we did all your grocery shopping for you. You and your wife don't have to do anything about that. It's covered. No.
You still have to take action.
Yeah, I have to go. I have to work. I have to cash my check. I have to go to the store. I have to make a list. We have to do all those things, and there are things that I don't want to do. I would rather, sit in the house with a fireplace on, drinking a nice cup of coffee than have to go do that stuff. But if I do that, I'll be only eating coffee, and that's no fun. So it's just a matter of people have to become willing to step out of their comfort zone. Even in Alcoholics Anonymous recovery, there are people who they get to a certain point of their comfort level and they stop. They stop doing what it is, that helped them change their life. And I'll give you an example. There's events that I do that are geared around strictly for people in recovery, and people in recovery always reach out to me and say, well, I can't do that because I have a meeting that day. Oh, I can't do that day because I have to do this thing that day. Oh, I can't do that day because, well, what is it that you want? They want me to schedule it for them. But I have an open availability. They won't give up whatever one thing to get more help. They're already sober. And I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, Anthony, I really like what you have to talk about with recovery, blah, 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 but they don't show up. So I don't understand what it is they want, you know, unless lip service is their part-time job, you know, double talk and lip service. And that's why I ask people, what is it you really want in your life? Really? Because it's the last really that I'm at. It's when I'm really asking, because they just kind of like, you know, shrug their shoulders at you like, you know, well, save me, you know, and we're not Superman, you know, and even Superman would tell them, hey, I got you. I pulled you out of the burning building. Now what are you going to do? Good luck. Good luck. Bye. You know, real quick, Audrey, 713-955-332. Be like Audrey and call in. You know, forget to press one. Press one without that you press one. You know, so I'm glad you called in. I miss you. I miss you a bunch. I know I was supposed to call you a few days ago for a reading myself, and I've been working. They gave me a lot of hours, so you know, things are moving forward in my life. And you and I will talk about that offline. But
well, that sounds good. At least it's moving. At least it's moving. It has flow.
And that's exactly right. It doesn't move unless I decide I want it to move. And that's exactly what we're talking about. You know, was it a month ago? I was unemployed. You know, I was working as a healer and I was having time, but you know, I needed to get a job, and finally one came up, and it wasn't what I wanted. It was what was necessary, I think. You know what I mean? To get the feet wet, and here we go, moving like I should be moving. You know, whether it's what I want or not, whether it's how I want it or not.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of times we sit and we ask for things that we desire. And we shut down the universe from giving us what we asked for because it's not presented in the way we expected it to. And you know, and the universe says, but I'm giving you abundance. I'm giving you open doors, and you're not walking through them. We have to get through phase 1 before you get to phase 5. And a lot of times we miss that, or we expect to pray tonight and expect a miracle when we rise, and sometimes it takes a little longer. You know, the universe is backed up too sometimes. You're not the first caller, you know.
Thank you for the analogy. That's very funny.
Yeah, so sometimes you have to wait in the queue. So, but it's coming, and you know, and as long as you desire it and you put an intent to it, and you're willing to receive what you ask for in any form and in any direction, you will always have enough if you take that step, if you take action. And that's where people mess up. They don't take the action. You know, they see it coming, they see an opportunity, and they freeze because it's not in the package they wanted it. So then it goes away, and then you sit there and you say, oh, well, the universe didn't hear me. Well, it heard you, but you weren't willing to take action and move forward, even if it wasn't in the exact package that you were expecting it in.
Yep.
And you miss opportunities. Because that might have been the first door to open that would lead you to the opportunity that you were seeking, you know, that would fix everything. Or not fix everything, but at least give you the opportunity to have what you desire.
There you go. That's right. God damn, the right callers call in when they're supposed to, right?
Yeah, spirit communicates one way or another.
He'll either put it in your pocket or kick you in the pants. Whatever the case is, it's gonna happen. However it happens. Well, Audrey, thank you for calling. Do you have anything else? Do you have any other questions?
No, actually, thank you for talking about the topic. I know that it fit me perfectly after, you know, I sent a few people to hear your radio show and to look you up. And because, you know, a lot of it has to do, the holidays is a tough time for recovery. It's a hard time to stay on the wagon, because a lot of emotions come through, and, you know, I got a lot of those calls that it's like, well, how do I do it? Or I'm seeing them slip, or I can't get through them, or they slipped. Now what do I do? And they want a candle or they want an oil, and it's like, well, I personally cannot provide you with that. I'm a medium. I'm a psychic medium. I could, I'm here to support you, but I cannot fix that person who's not coming to me directly. So, I can't, I could only do what I could do.
Yeah, and two, when people stop dancing around the language of that sort of thing, slipped, you drank. Quit playing with it. Quit making plain light of it, because it's a serious. If it's that serious in your household, you need to talk serious about it, and you talk with it, because if you drank, you drank. I slip on the floor here in the house because the floor's slippery or something. That's a slip. Drinking is drinking, and people need to take responsibility for their own selves. If they're looking for help, take responsibility and call a spade a spade. Call it what it is. Mm-hmm. Dance around the subject, because you're only going to create more problems for yourself when you don't call it what it is. And it's alcoholism, it's drug addiction, it's depression, it's anger, it's suicidal tendencies, it's any number of a number of things, any one of a number of things, because you're not grounded, because you're not rooted and fruited, because you're not connected to yourself or others, you're not in your fire fuego, you're not able to take in air, lungs, I'm loved. You're not able to be in your heart because you don't know how. And what it is these people need to learn. And that's what we're here. That's what you're here for. You guide them. You can take them so far and guide them to a place. But like you said, if they knock on the door, if they don't knock on the door, who's going to open the door? And I said that earlier in the show when I first started talking about this. If you don't knock on the door, no one's going to answer. And I know people like you and knock on the door constantly, because it's what changes our lives. We answer the door.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I'm blessed to have you in my life, and I'm blessed that you called in today, and everybody else is blessed too. And I'm grateful that you took the time to not hit one.
Well, thank you. I mean, I was going to hit one, but not that particular moment. And just to get awareness out there that there is support for those who are not the ones in recovery, but are supporting someone that is in recovery. And you are not alone. And like you said, it's different. If it's drug, alcohol, sugar addiction, I'm going through that right now. I fell off the wagon big time for Christmas. I'm still eating tamales and sugar cookies. And I'm aware of that. It's being aware of what it is you're doing, and that you have free will and you chose to do that, and you have the same free will and the same choices that you made, falling off the bandwagon or not, are the same ones that you take, and you're aware and say, you know what, I've come to a point where that's it. It has to stop, because I have to put myself first. I have to put my health first. And you just start again every day, every minute of every day is a new opportunity for you to start over again.
I hope. That's right. That's right.
No, I got chills. So, and that's what it is.
Hold on a sec. Colin, you heard Audrey say what she just said, and she just got chills over what she said, because Spirit was listening to her, Spirit heard her, and Spirit reacted in her body. And it's because Audrey reaches out to others that others reach back. And listen to somebody like Audrey when she sends you and gives you direction to go someplace to get help with somebody who can help you, because she knows. She's been there and she's done that. So be there and do that. And Audrey, really quick, I want to tell you, in social media, people kept posting this post that, help suicidal veterans by posting this to 3 people. It was a phone number. And for the last couple of months, I've been posting my own phone number, offering help. People always want somebody else to do it. They want somebody else to be a solution to a problem when we can be a solution to the problem, when we can reach out to somebody who's hurting and having hard times, whether they're a suicidal veteran or not, we can be that that help, that solution. And people spend a lot of time sidestepping that and, or, you know, waiting for somebody else to do it. I personally don't, I think that's wrong. And, you know, I just, it's frustrating, but I get it. You know, they live in fear. They feel like they, you know, may not be able to help somebody, but the fact of the matter is you can. I know that you do. I know that I do, that we make a difference, that everybody who has a show on this network and does the kind of work that you do, Audrey, every day, every minute, every hour, every day, every week, every month, you make a difference. We make a difference. And I want to personally thank you for making that difference in the circle that I run and in my life personally. So yeah, I just want to thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. And I always sign off in love and gratitude, Audrey, you know, and I'm grateful for everyone. And if you're a healer, if you're not a healer, if you have a degree in psychology, or if you're a therapist, or if you're a doctor, if someone calls you, you don't need a title. If someone reaches out to you that you haven't heard in years. I had this one lady, and she said, I'm calling you because I need answers. Do I answer? Do I reply? And how do I reply? And does the universe want me to reply to this? And I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, well, I got a text message from someone that I haven't heard from in 4 years. And, well, he was very negative, and he was going through some hard times. He was kind of suicidal. And he sent me a text message, and he says, hello. How do I respond to that? You know, do a spread of cards. And I said, he reached out. If he's clean, if he's not clean, he reached out, meaning that he's reaching out, and he wants to know if there's a lifeline out there.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm like, so you answer. And you answer, and you go from there. And if it gets to a situation where you don't want to be in, then you remove yourself from it. Right. But all he said was hello. You might be the last person on that phone list that he has, that he's hoping for to answer. Yeah. And I'm like, so just say hello. And she's like, really? Yep. So that, like that? And it's like, yes, it's like that, because you may not think that you have the answers. You may not think that you're the specialist. But the thing is that you're human, and you're there. And someone thought about you, which makes you. Now that puts you in a place where you are the healer. You are the expert. You are who you are, and you are the medicine, and they need something from you. And that might just be a hello, I'm acknowledging you.
You were the show today. That last statement you made was the show in a nutshell. Thank you for calling in, Audrey. I love you. And I hope the girls get better.
Thank you.
And I hope that the people out there who call you for help, who call you for guidance, take your guidance and run with it. You know, and I wish that my hope is the same thing for the people around me. You know, I have transformed from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body, and I want that for everybody out there around the world and around the network, and whoever's willing to listen. You know, so I want to thank you for calling in. I love you, and I know that I'm blessed by you every time you call, and or every time we speak, I see you. And we're almost at the end of our tenure here for today's show, so I'm going to say goodbye. And you.
Well, I hope everyone listening, you know, books a session with you, because everyone that I've sent to you has had their vibration and their lives completely changed because of you. And you have a lot to offer, a lot of medicine to offer, not just for those who are in recovery, not just for those who are going through a hard time, but for everyone in every stage of their lives. So I thank you, and I wish you the best for 2017, just like everybody that's listening out there. And, let's go out there and change more lives.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in. I'll call you later on today to say, hey.
Okay. All right. Bye. Thank you.
Now, Happy New Year. Well, all right, everybody. We've come to the end of the show today, and what a great show it was. I love it when somebody calls in and absolutely supports 110% what it is I'm talking about, what it is with the medicine that I carry, what the medicine that they carry, what the medicine is that you carry. My name is Anthony Rodriguez Walking Crow, and this is the Transformational Sacred Drum Medicine Show. What do you want to transform? What do you want to transcend? What do you want to change in your life and give yourself in a good way? Aho mitakiyase. I'm here to say thank you and see you next week. Thank you for coming. Happy New Year and happy 2017. Goodbye.
And now, insurance-minded speeches from Geico.
It's a common expression, don't look a gift horse in the mouth. However, what if the horse's mouth is filled with useful insurance tools? This is the exact case with the Geico app. Yes, the app is free and therefore a gift horse. However, look inside the app and behold, emergency roadside assistance, digital ID cards, bill pay. Get the Geico app, look it in the mouth, get amazing services. Thank you.
Why does getting to the airport have to be such a dilemma? The driving, parking, finagling a ride. Well, if you take Uber, it doesn't. It's easy. Just install the Uber app. Enter your destination, confirm your location, and within minutes, a car will pick you up. Whether you're catching the red eye or taking off at the crack of dawn, you can request a ride 24/7. So avoid the hassle. Install the Uber app now and take your first ride today. Uber, the better way to get there.